to order. I am Marty D'Souza, Deputy Chief Education Officer with responsibility for Amerindian and hinterland education development, and I will be your chairperson for today's ceremony. As we begin the program, I would like to invite the top student of last year's NGSA, that's 2024 NGSA's top student, Alicia Sheila, to render us the universal prayer. So from Queen's College, Alicia Sheila. Could we stand, please?
Good morning, everyone. I will now recite the universal prayer. Where the mind is without fear and the head is held high, where knowledge is free, where the world has not been broken up into fragments by narrow domestic walls, where the words have come out from the depth of truth, where tireless striving stretches its arms towards perfection, where the clear stream of reason has not lost its way into the dreary desert sand of dead habit, where the mind is led forward by thee into ever-widening thought and action, into that heaven of freedom, my Father, let my country awake. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Remain standing as we recite the national pledge. At the count of two, we begin. 1, 2. I pledge. Thank you so much. You can take your seats. Minister of Education, Honorable Priya Manik-Chan, Chief Education Officer, Advisor to the Minister of Education, Dr. Nicole Manning, Director of Operations, Examination Services and Staff of CXC, Deputy Chief Education Officers, Directors of NSERD, School Board Secretariat, National Accreditation Unit, Distribution Unit, Assistant Chief Education Officers and other senior officers of the Ministry of Education, Heads of Education Departments, Regions 1 to 10 and George, teachers, and most importantly, the nation's children whom we celebrate today and those who had recently sat the National Grade 6 Assessment, members of the media, audience all, both in this room and across the country who are joining us live, whether through radio, television, or the internet. All other special invitees, pleasant good morning. Welcome to this very special ceremony, the 2025 National Grade 6 Assessment Results Release Ceremony. It is a day that we have all been waiting for. It is an hour that we've all been waiting for. It is a minute that we've all been waiting for. We have quite a program lined up for you, and I will not give away anything at this time, but I want us to start of today's program.
build, everyone inside is filled with things from far.
Good morning to everyone, our students in particular. I'm going to break protocol and say good morning to you first. Can I tell you? You're looking so beautiful. I think we should give them a round of applause. So, Chair, Mr. D'Souza, the Minister, Honorable Dr. Priya Manichan, Minister of Education. I'm seeing our Chief Education Officer, all our other technical officers, and I want to greet my own staff who is here with me, Dr. Young, Senior Manager for Examination, Development and Production, as well as Mrs. Suzanne McAllister, who is one of our staff members. Pretty much we wonder sometimes if she's still Barbadian or Guyanese. Yes, I believe, Minister. And so Both her and Mr. Whitehall, who was here with me last year, they spent quite a bit of time in Guyana. And then, of course, we have our very own Guyanese, not born, but I think I told him once I thought he was Guyanese, even when he was at CXC full-time, and that's Mr. Anthony Alain. And then, thank him very much for really the hard work that is done on the ground for us to reach to this stage. It's indeed very important that we also say thanks to our examining committee members and all the markers and everybody and everything that went into this process. Amir Ali, I know, of course, you play a very important role also in this process, and our very own local registrar, who is more to us than the NGSA. She does everything for the Caribbean Examinations Council, and we thank you also, Mrs. Sauda Kadir Grant. So it is at this point in time, I know our parents, who are, some of whom are with us, are very anxious, and so I will move into my presentation very quickly. Yeah. All right, so somebody has to do that for me. So next slide, I'll begin. So we are looking at three main components in the presentation today. The summary of the registration, as we would have seen it. Thank you very much. Right, great. The summary for the 2026 assessment that was done this year. We'll also be looking at the end-to-end process as to what happened behind the scene in terms of ensuring that we have quality results, and the actual performance will be a part of the process. So in terms of registration, we had across the board, you're seeing maximum for Region 4, which is not unusual. We see that we had 3,450 candidates for Region 4. Of course, second to that would be Region 11. But across the board, you know, you're seeing not more than 3,500, but over so many, 18,000 almost doing examinations. Now, sorry. Okay, this thing is giving me a little problem here. Let me go back. All right, there we go. So in terms of the candidate entry by region and gender, and this is not unique necessarily to Guyana, but we do see, even where we have the highest registration of candidates, we see where we have actually more males than females. And that might be a little unusual for the maximum, but I mean, the norm is that we have some general equity there across the two groups of students. Now, to go to the end-to-end process, what is very important for the Caribbean Examinations Council is to ensure that from the development all the way through to the release of results, we have quality systems embedded in this process. And first, I want to begin with the fact that we do engage various persons, teachers, particularly in item writing. And this is not unique necessarily for NGSA, but that second line you see there in terms of the pre-testing is very important to ensure that from the get-go, we have the quality items placed on the examination as a part of the development process. Now, CXC also we would have placed in the process, as we did the NGSA, as we do for our own examinations, using a multi-layered quality process where we have standardization as well as that quality embedded within marking, the whole marking process. And this is to ensure that we make sure that no candidates are disadvantaged in simple terms, but we would utilize terms like fairness, validity, and reliability of those results. Now, importantly also is the process of the final score being reviewed, and that process for all subjects So when I highlight that Mrs. McAllister and Mr. Whitehall in his absence live in Guyana, they play a very important role in all 3 steps. So you can just imagine how many times they have to be here to go through and to ensure that this is done. Of course, they are supported by a team in Barbados, particularly, as well as, of course, being led by our own Dr. Young. So the marking process, as I mentioned, generally, that they are layered, but just to note, the standardization means that when we get into the room and that space, that we have to ensure that everyone is marking in accordance to our criteria or requirements. And so from the person who is marking as the teacher all the way through our table leaders and our other quality assurance layers in terms of sampling what has been marked, that's the first layer, but then we have it and we continue throughout that marking process. So the quality checks are also a big part of that. So I wanted to just note that the standardization is completed with the overarching review from CXC. It's fully manned and managed by CXC, and we do work with the quality assurance officers within the Ministry of Education. We have 423 examiners, teachers, markers, who are engaged in the marking exercise across all subjects. I must also note that this augurs well for continuous improvement from 2 aspects. 1, within the process, and 2, when these persons return to their own space, it helps them as better teachers, as better educators. When they are going back into their schools, it helps them to be able to operate at a different level. In addition to that, within the depth of the quality checks that I mentioned, we do look at what is there for the raw scores. We do our forensic checks. We do our own independent checks. And above all, everything that I would have mentioned helps to contribute to what we're seeing today. So it's indeed a very robust and involved process that allows us to reach to this stage in terms of the subject performance. So I'll begin with English. And so the English language, our overall performance for 2021 to 2025, the percentage of candidates earning 50% and above, you're seeing a big increase over the 2024 period. And particular to note, we thought, yes, last year was very good. This year, it was even better. The best you have had in 5 years. In addition to that, I'm not sure what's happening with this clicker, but I think we're going to make it. In addition to that, we must say also that we're seeing an increase in the number of candidates. We're going right up back. I know we had a little dip in 2022, but we're on that trajectory of having 93 candidates having full scores for English. Full scores, yes. And it's very important to note that there's also the reduction in terms of the number of zeros, right? So we are looking at that going down, continue to go downwards. A little bit more than last year, but we haven't gone back to where we were. In terms of the mean percentage score by gender, it's also very important to note that when we compare previous years, we are looking at the average score for the females being 65.98%, and for the males 57.22%, both an increase over previous years. And of course, the highest you have seen in 5 years. Social studies. Now, social studies, yes. social studies is seeing that big jump. When we look at 2020, what was happening in 2021, at 56.30, we are now at 64.77. Very good. In terms of the candidates receiving full scores of, that's the maximum score of 60, we are seeing here 55 candidates, and of course, again, the highest you have had for 5 years for social studies. Very good. And 4, which is the lowest, which means that you are conversely treating with both aspects of the what we call the spectrum. The mean percentage score for social studies, while it's consistent for the females, well, generally for both, we're seeing a little increase on the males. So that's very good in terms of the mean percentage that we're seeing, the average score that the candidates would have received. Science, we also saw a big jump in science. In terms of the percentage of candidates earning 50% and above, and why this is very celebratory in terms of what's happening there. Last year we had a dip. So it means that we not only did better than last year, but really moved past what we have ever had over the last 5 years. Likewise, the trend continues in relation to the candidates scoring full marks. But if you notice, 228 receiving full score for science. That is really indeed applaudable. And to see that we have really seen that reduction in the number of candidates likewise receiving zeros. For the science, if you notice also that the average performance of those candidates, you're looking at, for the females, 62.15%, leaving a 54.30. Remember, we dipped last year, so that's also very significant for both males and females. And it's important. It's important to note that also the boys are coming out of that 40 zone. So they are not only performing better, but they have left that 40 zone completely. Our regional trouble subject, mathematics. Look at what happened here. I must say, hold on. This thing is not working with me today. Boy, I tell you. I don't know what's happening to this. It does not want to show the math. Okay, there you go. This is indeed a good trend. We are happy also because this means that we are seeing a shift in the generation, and it therefore means that we are looking for that improvement at the other level, the Caribbean secondary examination. So this is good news. And likewise, you are seeing 472 candidates receiving full scores, and that's really, really good, as well as you are seeing the reduction. So everything is really looking so good, I must say, this year, and it is very consistent in terms of the average performance of the candidates, both females and males, both of them completely out of the 40 range. That's good. So in terms of the quartile ranking, we have, for the first quartile, I'm not sure, okay, right. We're seeing 2,798 candidates in this area, 3,220 in the second quartile, 3,909 in the third quartile, and 875 in this top area. So that's very good overall for the quartile ranking. So to give an overall view of what is happening generally for all the subjects, one picturesque view, it really shows us that overall everything has moved generally upwards. And when we compare the average performance for the subjects, we are seeing a nice picture here that needs to keep on this trend. I know the work will continue, and this is very good because if you look at the English, you are seeing one view at top, 69.25%. You are seeing the social studies, 64.77%. You're seeing the science, 63.70%, and the math, 55.51%. Nothing in 40s and over 60s. This is very good. Last but not least, it's very important also to note that it's not only the overall performance that should be monitored and continue to look at that and make sure that we move. It's also the performance of both the boys and the girls. And this, of course, is consistent with what we're seeing, of course, in terms of the overall performance, that both groups are moving together. It's not one without the other. So it means that you're treating with both groups, and that speaks to gender equity and equality in terms of what you are providing for them. So I must say congratulations on behalf of the Caribbean Examinations Council. Good job to the Ministry of Education and more so the parents. Good job, parents. I know you worked very hard with your children, those who are here and those who are not here, and how can we leave out our tireless teachers?
The reason we're celebrating to our best narratives. So I must tell you that in English language, as English paper 2, this paper consists of 2 sections. There is section A and there is section B. Section A of the paper consisted of 4 topics for the writing of a letter, and section B consisted of 4 topics for the writing of a composition. And so it was decided upon that one